What is going on, Giants fans? Welcome to Big Blue Avenue. I'm your host, Tom Scavetta. Little glitch there to start the show, but we're 2-9, and so are we. Sam, how are you doing this evening? I know, busy, expedited week. We barely had time to really scratch the surface on this last game, and we already have another one in less than 48 hours.
Yeah, I was a little shocked there to see my face in the big screen. That was a little shocking. But yeah, no, it's been quite a whirlwind of the last few days for Giants fans in general. We have so much to talk about today. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, Thanksgiving is can't wait to watch this team on Thanksgiving.
Uh, well, first off, I spent my Friday night out drinking after the Daniel Jones news and
Amazing.
drinking heavily, I should say. Want to wish him a farewell. I know I posted a short on Daniel Jones's release, but Sam, that presser last Thursday, it hit hard. It was time for him to go. It was time to say goodbye. How did you digest the news once you got that notification or pop up that Daniel Jones has been released by the New York Football Giants?
It was weird for sure. I got the notification while I was driving. So I had my phone on my little, on my little stand in my car, and I glanced over and I just saw, John Mara announces the release of Daniel Jones. And I literally like I this is going to sound so dramatic, but I pulled over because I thought that I read it incorrectly. So I pulled over and I opened it up and I looked at it and I was like, "Oh my god." And like we were expecting this at some point, right? But I think it was just kind of jarring to see it at this point. It was Daniel's decision to go to, the front office and say like, "Hey, I think you guys should just let me go now," and basically out of respect. And the Maras were just like, "Yeah, all right, let's do it," and kind of was just kind of ripping the Band-Aid off before, like, why elongate this process any longer. But yeah, it was I was definitely trudging through my Friday afternoon. It was sad.
It was sad. I was texting you throughout the day. Um, Regardless of how you feel about his performance, one of the classiest New York Giants of all time. Once a Giant, always a Giant.
Yeah.
He took ownership for these past 6 years. He took full accountability, as he should. He was more bad than good. But with Daniel, it's like he never lost his edge. He never forgot how to play. The neck injury really hurt his deep ball accuracy. He couldn't
Mhm.
use his full throwing motion anymore. And there was just too much working against the kid. He should have never been drafted 6th overall. It was a mistake. I understand why the Giants extended him. I think they extended the correct position, but the wrong player. That's my opinion on that whole thing back in 22. He came in, he had a great year entering his contract year. This man went through 3 head coaches, 2 GMs, and it was just a constant revolving door for him, Sam. Coaches were getting fired, coaches were getting hired like water running through a sink. It was really, really bad, and this is how it ends. And I do want to say these past 6 years felt like an extension of the later Eli Manning years. I mean,
Mm.
the man looked like Eli, he acted like Eli, but the most important thing, Sam, he never played like Eli, and that is why he is off the team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I think something that we said to each other on Friday was that we will never regret supporting him. Like
No,
we were through and through Daniel Jones supporters, and like I will stand by that. I will never go back on my word to say like, "Oh wow, I should have never supported him." Like, no, I will always say that I supported Daniel Jones, and I will continue to support him wherever he ends up. It's like kind of like Saquon Barkley right now. It's like you don't obviously want to support the Eagles, but I will always say like, good for you, Saquon, for finally getting, your moment, which I just want to say for the people that are saying, like, how dare you have gotten rid of Saquon and now the whole Daniel Jones situation. Saquon Barkley would not be doing what he's doing on the Eagles right now with the New York Giants. The season he's having right now would not be happening in New York. And I just want to go on the record to say that. Like, yes, we lost a very monumental player in him, but we were kind of wasting his talents, unfortunately, with
Right.
the offensive line and just the way that the team is structured. So let's just put that out into the open. Yes, of course we miss him, but at the end of the day, that's kind of the bottom line. But yeah, I will never regret supporting Daniel Jones. He did what he had to do. He was given the shitty end of the stick, and like you were saying, this revolving door of coaches, GMs, players. He was never set up for success on this team. And I'll take the wins, I'll take the losses, and now it's time for him to move on and for us to move on. But I hope he has his resurgence somewhere.
Yeah, I do regret calling him a borderline top 10 QB at one point, but after 22, there was reason to believe that could be an option. I don't regret supporting him because he was such a great guy.
Yeah.
Mara should have let McAdoo draft Mahomes. Not after the way he benched Eli Manning and lost the locker room after that. Completely disagree with that. McAdoo should have not been the one drafting in that position. He handled the team horribly, and even if he did draft Mahomes, it wouldn't have worked here. It wouldn't have.
No.
Hey, Kevin. Hey, Kevin. Let's go Giants. Yep. 2-9. We're still saying let's go. Sam and I are still waking up out of bed every day, doing notes on this team, watching games, doing this show every week. It's tough. It's not easy to do. It's very emotional. Like, I'll be honest, I broke a tear for the first time in about 6 to 8 months on Friday, but it was bad. It was very bad. Now, let me ask you this. We talked last week because we had a show in between his benching
right
and him getting released. Now that he's released before the end of the season, I re-ask you the question, Sam, where does he sign? At the time of this live show, and what you're watching now, folks, might be a recording later on, where is he signing?
I have said this now for a year, and I said it on the last show, and I will continue to say it. I think he's going to be a Minnesota Viking. Every time I think about it, I think he's he's going to be a Viking because, yes, Skull. It makes the most sense. And when people were talking about originally the Raiders was an idea because obviously Gardner Minshew's out for the season. Aiden O'Connell's injured, but he did say that he wants to go to a contender. And I'm pretty sure Daniel Jones himself said, I am not going to Las Vegas. The Ravens are on the table, I believe, and the Vikings are on the table. I don't see him fitting in with the Ravens either, just in terms of the personality of that team. And while he'll be a great backup wherever he ends up, I think Minnesota is the best fit.
What's good, guys? What's up, Adam? You went from 0-5 to 5-7 in our fantasy league. So congrats on that. That's a tough
way
road
to
climb. There's not a person worse than 4-8 in our fantasy league this year. I'm very happy to say that. Everyone's checking every week. Everyone's being competitive, and a shout out to you guys. Oh, okay. MR Sports, I appreciate your comments. Even though I did disagree with that comment, keep them coming, folks. We really do appreciate it. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers take a flyer on him as a backup. I know Taylor Heineke is their backup quarterback. I think if he's going to go out west, it'll be to the 49ers. But my pick is still the Minnesota Vikings because they're in playoff contention. That checks off one box. Box number 2 to check off, Sam Darnold is not under contract next season. Box number 2. Box number 3, J.J. McCarthy is coming off an injury and will need a veteran quarterback in the room to groom him next year. Box number 4, or whatever box it was.
So much sense.
Darnold's going to want to start, elsewhere. This is McCarthy's team.
Right.
Jones can live with where he is in his NFL career. And the best part about this is that the Giants might get a comp pick if he signs somewhere. Not official yet, but I do think there is a lot of truth to the Minnesota Vikings because both times Daniel Jones played in that stadium, he looked like one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He played really, really well in that stadium. I don't know what it is, but I really do think that that is the place that he's going. I was joking with my coworkers about Philadelphia, Saquon's influence, Nick Gates' influence, back up Jalen Hurts, push Kenny Pickett out of town, and have DJ take over for Hurts eventually. That was more of a troll job on my part, but you can see why I might throw that out there, but that's not happening. It's either Minnesota or Denver, in my opinion.
Oh, right.
With San Francisco as a complimentary option.
Yeah. No, it's all of them make sense.
Think about it. Sean Payton loves Daniel Jones. Dave Cutcliffe, had a huge influence in Daniel Jones getting picked 6th overall in 2019. Sean Payton loves quarterbacks that get the ball out quick through one read. Bo Nix is looking like offensive rookie of the year at this point. It's not Jaden Daniels anymore. In my personal opinion, Washington is trending downward bad. He's trending up. Imagine what DJ could do there as the backup and groom Bo Nix up. It could be a real beneficial thing for DJ. And I wish him nothing but the best, Sam.
Same.
And we bid farewell officially to Daniel Stephen Jones. All right, real, buddy. DJ, we love you, man. Best of luck. Once a Giant, always a Giant. If you're new to the channel, you liked hearing that opening segment, folks, make sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms below on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Big Blue Avenue. Next up, Sam. I hate this man. And I hate nobody, just about nobody. But this is the thing, right? They could be 2-9 and not on the hot seat because they're just bad. But he's handling things terribly. He's losing the locker room. The locker room is hanging on by a thread at this point. And
if you want to call it a thread, it's almost like broken.
Sam, we had 245 yards of total offense. We did not target Malik Nabers in the first half. I get it. The Giants didn't have that many plays. Tyrone Tracy lost the fumble again. You think Daboll would come in and tell him how to hold the football? You think the running backs coach would do the same in Joel Thomas? We're not seeing it. And how about Malik's comments post-game? Says it's not the quarterback. It was the same stuff with DJ at QB. It is not Tommy DeVito. Brian Daboll stated yesterday that he spoke to Malik and that they're both on the same page. Are they?
Of different books. It might be the same number, but they're not reading the same book. My God. Yeah. It is. When I saw those comments from Malik Nabers, I was like, one, obviously frustrated, which I would be too. It's very obvious. And it's not just him. Dexter Lawrence as well was very frustrated. Like, this team, it's like it's not even bad anymore. You're getting worse and you're losing money and you let go of your quarterback and you don't have your star running back anymore. Like, it is just falling apart in front of our eyes. And I know last week, I believe, or 2 weeks ago, you asked me, how do I feel about Brian Daboll's job security, Joe Shane's job security? And I was very convinced that Brian Daboll was going to keep his job. Now, complete opposite. Like, he could not have less faith from any of his players, from any of the fans. Like, it is just horrific. And he's just doing a horrible, horrible job. It's bad.
Right. And fans are leaving at halftime. They're piling out. Tampa took over MetLife on Sunday. They won 30-7. Baker Mayfield is doing the Tommy DeVito in the end zone.
Yeah.
Baker baked. He did. No pun intended. I know Thanksgiving is 2 days away, but I mean, he's really, really good. And people draw it back to the moment where Tom Coughlin walks by John Mara without shaking his hand in the farewell press conference. And from there, it went downhill. And there's been so many head coaching hires, so many GM swaps in and out with Reese to Gettleman, now to Shane. There's no model of consistency with this organization. And it's really, really bad, especially when a rookie like this feels comfortable enough to say this. I know the coaching staff is encouraging him to be involved and say this stuff that he wants to win, but man, and when you got a veteran coming out and saying this, Dexter Lawrence being asked by Paul Dottino, Bruce Beck, if players are being put in position to succeed on the field, Dexter says, I think so. That's his way of saying, I don't know. He's lost. If he's lost, Daboll's got to go. Look, this is not where you should be in year 3 of a rebuild. Yes, year 1 probably set us back a little bit. It did. I shouldn't say probably. It did. But now, Sam, we're sitting here 2 years later. The roster is still bad. It's bad. And if DeVito and the Giants get embarrassed and show lifeless, they're not making effort plays, they're getting called soft, Daboll's got to go. If they're trying and they're losing by like 1 or 2 possessions every week and they're just really, really bad, well, then maybe Daboll could stick around. But the fact that, here's the thing, Daboll deserves his choice at quarterback. A lot of people have brought this up. Brian Daboll made his choice at quarterback. He chose Daniel Jones as his quarterback. That is where this statement is flawed, ladies and gentlemen. And MR Sports, I do appreciate this comment here. But man, Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll picked their quarterback. And they missed.
I just want to say for MR Sports, who keeps commenting, which we appreciate, I feel the same way. Like that is exactly, I think, almost verbatim what I said a week or 2 ago, was that Daboll deserves the chance to do that. But after more thought, as you were saying, Tom, like, yes, like when they gave him the opportunity to pay Daniel Jones or to go onto the market or whatever, they did that. And they invested a lot of money into it. And it's unfortunate. And if things were a little bit different, you know, maybe we would most definitely be having a different conversation right now. But I can't see, especially with the way just the players are reacting now and the fact that Malik Nabers is saying it's not a quarterback situation. So it's like, okay, if we give Daboll another year, 2, 3 years to develop a quarterback and we're seeing the same issues over and over and over again, like we're just setting ourselves back every single time we do that. And I don't have the time, patience, or lifespan to deal with that.
I mean, I'm sick and tired of losing. I'm sick and tired of seeing the fans leave like this every single week.
Oh,
they're not even competitive in these games. And now look, to elaborate on that point, when you pay a quarterback $40 million, right? I don't care if there was an out after 2 years, which there was, and the Giants saved what, like 700 something thousand after cutting Jones this early. You are, as the GM, you are telling the media, telling the fans, telling the team that you believe this head coach can work with this guy and fix him. When you pay a quarterback $40 million and you're making an NFL head coaching salary like Brian Daboll is doing, you are investing all your chips into him. We believed after Daniel Jones signed that contract that he would be the quarterback for the next 4 to 5 years. That's where the Giants had their misstep. They thought that this would be another 2-year experiment and Mara would grant them that time. The problem is fans are leaving the games, guys. I mean, I know I keep repeating what I'm saying. They're leaving the games. They're just lifeless. There's no energy in the crowd. I was there for the Washington game. I know the comments section is getting a little crazy here, but
I see the seduced by the mini playoff win is so true.
I agree. This
So
is a great
true.
comment here.
So true.
We definitely did. But yeah, so you think he's losing the locker room, right? Based off of that.
100%.
Especially, sorry, I mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
They sent John Runyon and Micah McFadden to talk to the media on a Monday. That has not happened all season long. You are sending out two quiet guys who are very, very nice and outspoken to put a positive spin on all this. Sam, I would like you to type in Giants YouTube right now. Type in New York Giants on your YouTube search and look at these interviews. They're putting a positive spin on this, saying, you know, they haven't lost the locker room. We're not soft. You know, Runyon saying, I think we practice well. We just haven't been able to execute in these games. Mike McFadden, same thing. And these are two great players. Not great, but good players. Good players who are developing. Runyon has provided a lot of stability at the guard spot. McFadden, great linebacker to pair in next to Okereke. But man, like, that's when you know something's up. If those are the two that are speaking to the media on a Monday.
I just want to say that was exactly what my next point was going to be. Was I didn't see the Runyon one, but I did watch Micah McFadden's. And as I was watching this, like, he was just saying, like, oh, well, there was, you know, good here and good there and, you know, blah, blah. And I'm looking and I'm like, wait, I don't think I've ever seen Micah McFadden, like, on my Twitter page before. Like, this was like clips on my Twitter. And I'm like, the fact that these people are the ones speaking to the media is insane. Number two, I love Bobby Okereke very, very, very much. And I know, and I've met him. He's a very kind man and a good football player. But what was that? Did you see that clip of him running down the field, passing the runner? And then you come like what are we doing? Why are we not tackling people? Like, where is the disconnect? And we know he can. We've seen Bobby O do an amazing job. But I also just realized we did not even pick a player of the week this week, and I'm guessing that's because nobody deserved it again.
Right. That's why I didn't do it, because I thought it would be waste of time. I thought it would be a waste of our time, Sam. I'd rather sit here and talk to you about this than going over that. I thought that would be kind of useless tonight. I mean, we got to let it out. Let it out.
Yeah.
So I do agree with this comment, MR Sports. He was not in the draft position in 2023 to take a quarterback, but this past draft, there were options there. You could have went Penix. You could have went McCarthy. You could have tried to trade back and get McCarthy. I guess the Giants didn't love McCarthy. Maybe they should have scouted Bo Nix a little bit more. They didn't do that.
But at the same time, it's like, even if we get Patrick Mahomes, are we even going to be a good football team with what we're being surrounded by right now? It
doesn't matter who the players are at this point. This team has quit.
It's just
on like, Brian Daboll.
You know, you can have the talent. And I feel like I would guarantee a resurgence tour of Daniel Jones. I can almost guarantee that it's going to happen. We've been seeing it. We're seeing it with Sam Darnold right now. Like, people are saying that Sam Darnold was the worst quarterback in the league, which is exactly what they're saying about Daniel Jones. He's going to have a resurgence. But, like, we both are not of tanking culture, but, like, I genuinely, like, when we lost this game on Sunday, I was like, good. We don't deserve to win at this point, which is like horrible to say, because of course we wear our colors. We want to see our teams win. But like at this point, it is like Adam's saying, everyone's given up. Teams given up, fans given up, everybody's given up.
Those guys were trash. Well, McCarthy's out for the season. Penix is a backup right now. Bo Nix is probably runner up for offensive rookie of the year. I don't know how those guys were trash. I get what you're saying. I love Malik Nabers. I did not want to draft Malik Nabers. I wanted Rome Odunze, because if I knew shit hit the fan, Malik would be speaking up about it. Rome, on the other hand, I think would have helped keep the locker room together more.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is a problem. And I have no problem with Malik Nabers doing that. But up until 2 weeks ago, I was all in on Brian Daboll coming back in 2025.
Same.
I'll be honest, I want Shane gone too. And I think these guys are smart. I do. But their evaluation of talent is not the best. They have the platform, they have the foundation right, but they're not putting the correct players into place.
We also have to think about the fact that while we were super stoked to have both of these guys come in because they were coming from Buffalo, which is a technically winning organization right now, right? They don't have the hardware, they don't have the rings, but they're winning games, they're making the playoffs, close to a Super Bowl. Neither one of them has ever been in this position before. So it's like you've never had Brian Daboll be a head coach before. You've never had Joe Shane be a GM before. They've been coordinators and assistant GMs. Both of them coming in and starting new roles at the same time with each other. I didn't even think about it at the start. Kind of a recipe for disaster. You know, you need at least one person who knows what they're doing, one person who's come in and has the experience. And while they have the experience in other parts of the front office and coaching, they both came in basically not really, just kind of learning. And that, I think, is one of the main reasons why we are in the situation that we're in.
You need a balance of power, right?
Correct.
And there's no balance of power here. It's all youth. There is no veteran voice. The most veteran voice we have is Kevin Abrams. There it is.
Motorcycle.
There it is. It's 8:30.
Like on the dot every time.
Let's bring him up. Brian Attard from the Sports Box.
Hey guys, how are you?
What's up, Brian?
Living the dream.
Yeah, so are we.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving Eve.
Hey, you too. Appreciate it.
So you were sitting backstage watching us rant for the past 20 minutes.
No,
are we crazy from an outside?
No, because it's again, I'm wrong all the time, and I'm on video wrong all the time. I couldn't care less. But there's a lot of things that have happened with the Giants over the last number of years that, unfortunately for you, I've been right about. And I actually wrote for my weekly piece in the local paper just about the whole Daniel Jones thing and happening. And it's like the butterfly effect of bad moves and what you do to try to fix the things that you've done in the past. As you were talking about Malik Nabers and the draft pick, it kind of hit me that there are distinct correlations between them taking Malik Nabers last year and them taking Barkley when they did, because it's almost like they're trying to extend the usefulness of the quarterback at the time by giving him a weapon to see what you actually have. So like when they took Saquon, I was in the camp at the time that they should have taken a quarterback. Now, obviously it could have been Sam Darnold, could have been Josh Allen, could have been Josh Rosen, but I thought that that's the direction they should go. They didn't. They took Barkley to try to extend Eli at the time. Then that didn't work. So the next year they took Jones earlier than most people thought that they should, because if they were playing poker, you know, Washington was bluffing and they said, okay, well, we're just going to take him right now. Had they gotten him at the second pick, I think people feel totally differently about Daniel Jones, regardless of how it turns out. But because of where your draft slot matters, the expectations come along with that. And then he just never got there. I don't really blame him for that, by the way. Like, nobody told the Giants let's take the guy at 6. They did that, right? So if you're just not the 6th pick in the draft, that's where you go, and then you become this draft bust. You don't control where you get drafted, right? So right. I don't really blame him for that. But it's refreshing to hear Sam say, good, they're losing. Good. I want a higher pick. Good. Because I was on that boat when the season started for you. And I am now in that boat myself. He doesn't watch Luther, probably.
No, probably not. So I wasn't going to say anything. Yeah, Adam, I wasn't going to say anything either, but here we are. Look, this team is bad. They are not just a quarterback away. They're a foundation away. And Brian, you've came on the show plenty of times. We were fans of Brian. You were a fan of Brian Daboll.
Yeah.
What happened? Like what? I mean, I know you talked about the drafting situation. You know, Nabers trying to extend the life expectancy of Daniel Jones, the Giants start. But what is going on? I feel like you guys are going. I shouldn't say you're going through a similar thing. You know, McCarthy's not a first-time coach, but what's wrong with Brian Daboll? Right? What's going on?
Winning cures a lot, and they're not winning.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, again, you know, I thought they did right by Daniel Jones by letting him go, but like you're changing quarterbacks in the middle of the season. That's never a great situation to be in as a head coach, because now you're trying to basically patchwork your way through it. I personally would not overreact to what you're seeing the last couple of weeks, because the whole thing is just in upheaval right now. I kind of said from the jump that I don't necessarily know that Joe and Daboll wanted Daniel Jones. Like, again, to the person that said that Minnesota playoff game, which I go back to a lot, that set the stage for where they are, because how do you sell even if they wanted to go a whole different direction, let's say that they wanted to, how do you sell a fan base that that's what you're going to do, coming off not just a surprise playoff appearance, but a win on top of it, right? So like, how do you say, oh, well, hey, we're in a playoff game, now we're just going to blow the whole thing up and start over? That's an extremely hard sell. So that situation, again, I think has set them back tremendously, because now they're kind of back in reset mode, because they tried to extend what that team was not that good. They were not a bad team by any stretch, but again, they won a lot of coin flip games. It was a good schedule, and then they caught Minnesota, who was a fraud the whole year, and they won. Great for them. But I think that the path and the plan that Shane and Daboll had kind of got taken off track by the mirage of success, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you think they should get another year? Because if they get the chance to get their quarterback, they should really get another 2 years. You're making at least a 2-year investment into him, because right now you're looking at the Bears with Matt Eberflus, right? The guy's going to get fired.
Should.
And Caleb is going to fail. Not only, look, I don't think Caleb's great, but he's set up to fail, right? Mm-hmm. And if they draft a rookie and then fire Daboll, it'll be the same shit. So either you clean house now and start from the ground up, or you're at least committing to Daboll and Shane for another 2 years, risking fans walking out on you every single week while you continue to suck.
Correct. I think you're dead on, but I also I don't know that you can get rid of the GM and not the coach, not the GM. Like, I think they come as a package deal. So that's the thing to me. Like, I don't know. It doesn't feel to me like one can go and the other can stay. So if you're going to rip the Band-Aid off, then rip the Band-Aid off. But you brought them there to build around a new quarterback that just never materialized.
Right.
Like, they never had their guy. Like, these guys come in. I always remember when Greg Schiano went down to Tampa and LeGarrette Blount was the running back there. They took Doug Martin in the draft. Greg, I don't care. I need my guy. Like, I want to, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose with my guys, not the guys you're going to make me take. And again, Jones just felt like, was it John Mara who said, like, you know, we've done everything to not help this guy, this, that, and the third.
To
like,
screw him up.
Yeah, like there was almost like this edict from up top, like, hey, make it work with this guy. And they just, like, sometimes you just can't. And that wasn't their decision. Again, they had to sign him coming off a playoff win. That was, they back themselves rock between a hard place. Rock and a hard place. That's where they were. We were talking, I think you and I were talking, do you franchise him or do you franchise Barkley? Do you sign him? Do you sign him? But that was like a decision because they had to figure it out because you could only use one tag. Like, the way the sequence of events happened, I think every time that the Giants should have zigged, they zagged. And that has led to kind of where things are right now. But I will tell you this, it's not all doom and gloom. Like, they have a chance right now to actually hit the proverbial reset button because you're going to get a new quarterback. And that opens up a lot of, you know, again, hope's not a strategy, right? But that opens up the, hey, new beginnings, we can, don't worry about what happened. That's all in the past. I personally, I think they should keep Shane and Daboll first because like they just haven't had the chance to do their guy. Now, you're right in that it might even be 3 years. Like, what you don't want is you don't want what happened to Bryce Young to happen to whoever you draft, right? Where, not that the Giants are going to necessarily like blow up their roster to go get the high pick in the draft. They might get there on their own, which is the best case. But like Bryce Young was up to a bad situation where this coach liked him or the owner liked him or someone liked him, but they deconstructed the roster to make him fit to go get the pick to get him. And then they're surprised he wasn't good with nothing around him. Like it is a good spot for a young quarterback. Again, Nabers helps. They've been working on their line. I think Tyron Tracy's a nice little player. I mean, you can build around somebody like that, right? So like there are worse places to go. It's New York. It's a prime market. People talk about, Dion might not let Shadur Sanders go to certain places. He's not going to want to go to New York. Now, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't go there, but I'm saying is like that, you don't have that small market stigma where I'm not letting you go there. Like he won't Eli Manning the Chargers, right? Like that's what's like if the Giants want him, that's not a non-starter for Deion Sanders and his kid, right? So I think it's a great situation. Remember, I think I came into the year saying the best quarterback situation coming into the draft was Washington because they had no attachment to anybody. Right now, it's the Giants. They have the best quarterback situation in the division because they are tied to absolutely no one, and they can do whatever they want, and freedom has value.
Sam, what do you think? This makes a whole lot of sense. This is where you need the outside fan perspective because you and I are sitting here like, oh, they got to go. But at the same time, what's the bigger picture here? The actual reset? Is Brian Daboll actually a genius behind closed doors? But the problem is, again, this is where I think, Brian, I don't think your take is flawed. I think the Giants situation is flawed to your take, if that makes sense. Your strategy makes sense if you don't lose players and fans in the process. Everybody has to be bought into that process. And right now, guys like Dexter Lawrence, Malik Nabers, they're not. I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard to sell.
Let me ask you this question: who's a better quarterback, Drew Lock or Cutlets?
I mean, I don't think.
You want me to be honest with you?
Drew Lock's played more football games.
Drew Lock is bad.
We've seen him do more bad than good.
I'm going to go see, and now this might, and I apologize if this ruins your point, but I'm going to go with DeVito only because Locke he has not learned this scheme at all. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback, and that's why Jones started as long as he did because they know Locke is worse.
But again, again, outside looking in, right? Like Locke seems like he's down. Like I was the number 2. Like I was supposed to go in. Like if this didn't work out, from that vantage point, them overstepping him and putting in DeVito is almost like a backdoor tank and like put the worst quarterback in or the one you don't really think can win as much as the other one. Because again, the thing is more pro experience with Locke longer term. He's been around the league a little bit more. They're professionals at the end of the day. Like I get that a lot. Like, so again, I am a tank guy. Like if you're not going to win, lose. And I've been telling you, hey, listen, there's going to be a very productive season because you're not going to win a lot of games. You can get a very high pick and it's going to be great. It's the best possible. If you're not going to win the Super Bowl, one team wins. Guess what? The second best outcome is having the best possible pick in the draft because everybody else lost, but you got the best prize. So they're in position to, again, reset the franchise. I don't know a lot about, I think I again, people always question my tank. Oh, you can't tank in the NFL. They're professionals. They don't want to lose, so on and so forth. And I think a lot of that is just us romanticizing what professional sports is compared to what like most of us played in high school. Like when you're coming home on the school bus, really sad because you lost to your rival school from across the county. Like they're going to go get in their Maserati and drive to one of their very expensive mansions and, they'll be fine. So it's like, no, are we outwardly tanking? No. Are we really trying to win games? Not exactly. But because again, that's just how the system is set up. So I think to me, right, you chalk it up. Hey, listen, quarterback change middle of the season. It is what it is. Fresh start, new guy. You know what? These veterans will be a little more excited to come in there with the pedigree of whoever they're going to take in the draft. I think that decision is going to matter, right? So, I mean, if you're Malik Nabers, you've been in the league for half an hour. Like, I don't think that really comes into play. The veterans I get because the veterans, they don't have as much time and, will they be there? Will they not? NFL is not for long. That's why I say I would not overreact The problem, you know what, honestly, Joe Shane's biggest problem is the video of him talking to Mara about Saquon.
Hard Knocks. That's
Yeah,
it's the biggest
that's what people look at. Like, oh, that I somebody in outside the box said, oh, he should unalive himself for letting Saquon go. I'm like, what are they supposed to do? What would he be doing there? What would Derrick Henry do in Dallas? Nothing. Situation matters.
Yes.
So, they let Saquon go. Okay. I made this point earlier today. I don't know if you agree or you don't, but last year, the teams that had Barkley, Henry, and Jacobs were bad. And the teams that didn't have them yet were good. Now those teams have them and they're still good. And those teams who lost them are still bad. So this is not necessarily like, oh, look at how great. Look, Barkley's having a very nice year. Eagles' offensive line is tremendous. It's so good it makes Jalen Hurts win games. So, like, come on. Like situation matters.
No, you said, I said that right in the beginning of the show too, because I'm so sick of hearing people talk about Saquon Barkley and how we let him go. He would not be doing what he's doing right now on the Giants. It would not be happening. He's flourishing in Philadelphia because they have an excellent offensive line and everybody's hyping him up, and he's living his life. It's a good situation for him.
Derrick Henry and the Cowboys should have signed Derrick Henry. The coach doesn't run the ball and the line can't run block. So what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, right. Let's get to the questions. We'll make it quick. We could sit here and talk about this till we're blue.
And we do. That's what
blue in the face. But I'll start here with this one. Brian, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones.
Hate that guy.
Says it wouldn't be crazy if the team gave head coach Mike McCarthy a contract extension, he said on the radio. Quote, I don't think that's crazy at all. That's not crazy. He's an outstanding coach. This is a Super Bowl winning coach. Mm-hmm. Thoughts on this statement?
Barry Switzer won a Super Bowl too. You want to hire him? Listen, it is what it is, right? Like, I'm not going to say, I don't think you watch any wrestling. I know, Tom, you would get this. If I dropped the CM Punk pipe bomb about the Jones family, you would understand why, because it fits to a T. He is an idiot. He is an attention whore. He doesn't care if the team is winning or losing as long as you are talking about them, right? So how do you get into the limelight when your team sucks? And then you have this big game on Thanksgiving between, again, potentially Tommy DeVito and Cooper Rush. That's gonna put a lot of butts in the seats. You're a moron. What have you seen that makes you want to extend him? What it is the definition of insanity. I was so mad on Sunday, and you know it too. When they won that game, I'm like, you've got.
I thought of you. Yep.
I'm like,
and you're gonna win again on Thursday, so.
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. So it's like, what do you? No. And again, could it happen? Absolutely. Is it on brand for him? Absolutely, because he is an idiot. We said this, we were talking about this for the first game, where CeeDee Lamb wants $34 million. They play poker for 4 months, and you know what he gets? $34 million. So what did you do? What was the point?
The Cowboys are also 6-0 when you're on the show. I should know. So
whoa, wait, really?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I have to leave, but I like you too. I can't.
And the Giants are 0-2 this year when there's a man named Brian on the show. We had another man named Brian on the show last week. Adam Abar says, I like this guy. Sam, will turn to you here. Sorry, there's way too much going on.
I feel I'm going to go a little bit off script in terms of questions, and I want to, since we're on Jerry Jones right now. So obviously he's like an older guy, and I feel like his son is definitely like stepping in right now, right? So like, does that mean that the decisions that are happening, apart from what we're seeing Jerry on the media, like is little Jerry Jones making like a lot of these like front office decisions? Like, are you guys just in the crapshoot for the next half a century because this guy is already making the decisions?
So I'm going to have to drop the line. You're going to get this time immediately. It's like, I would like to think that this team would be better off once Jerry Jones is dead, but it's just going to get taken over by his idiotic son, his doofus daughter-in-law, and the rest of his stupid family. And that's a wrestling line from 10, 12 years ago that fits this perfectly. I have no idea. You have no idea who's driving the car? Maybe nobody. Right? Because every single thing they do is wrong outside of what Will McClay does in the draft. because that's the one thing they let somebody else handle. They can't negotiate contracts. They can't work the cap the way other teams work the cap. Like, they are just a horrifically run organization. And you're seeing that now, right? You're seeing that because now the talent that they accumulated is not there because people get hurt, people leave, whatever. And then it falls right apart because they're not well coached either. So you should not be surprised that they're in the situation they're in, because this is the bed that they have made. And the annoying part of all of this, the really super annoying part of all of this, is if they just didn't sign the quarterback, they're going to end up with a high pick, and they could have drafted one.
It was such a bad contract extension.
Oh,
it's $60 million. I won't get into that. We spoke about it last show.
That could be going towards either team, by the way. That conversation with no names in it could have gone for either team.
So much to be thankful for this week, guys. So much.
Look, it could be fully guaranteed. It could be much worse, Brian.
It probably is. I mean, like, it's just... look, nothing surprises me, but like literally everything they do is wrong. I can't. It's the truth. You think I was bashing the Giants? Like, every time that the Cowboys should zig, they zag twice. Like, they don't, and they like really like zag. Like, they actually go off the road into a guardrail.
So these next two questions we already answered as you came on the show. So you think Daboll stays if the Giants get embarrassed?
I don't know. So I think if one goes, both goes. Where I think the chances there for both to go is if Mara just, I mean, if God forbid the Eagles win the Super Bowl, like, I actually think that has a negative effect on Shane as a direct result, because he let Saquon walk there. Like, and again, I maintain that was the absolute right thing to do, but results are what they are. Optics are what they are. Perception's what it is. And when your owner's saying, I'm really gonna have trouble sleeping at night if he goes to Philadelphia, and then he sees the guy potentially win something, that might be the death knell for Shane through no fault of his own. That's just an owner overreacting, which, you know, your friends on the other side of the stadium are doing that, a little bit of that right now too. I personally would keep them both and let them draft a quarterback and see where it goes. That's what I would do. New York is New York. New York's a different animal. Some people can't handle it. So, can you move quickly? I heard you. I mean, you have these embarrassing feelings about where the team is right now. So if you're trying to, flip the script very quickly, if you're drafting a new quarterback and getting rid of the head coach and the GM, like, that's a narrative that says, hey, we're making big changes. Change for change sake, potentially. I think both of them could do well. I think they were handed a hand that they really couldn't play very well.
And I get it. Like, we know Daboll could win games. We know.
Listen, I would tell you what. I would take if Daboll is let go. I would take him in Dallas in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Yeah. I mean, he did win a playoff game with a terrible roster, and one thing Dallas does not have is a terrible roster. So, kind of gets to our tight end question. Jake Ferguson, concussion, that's your guy. How has Luke Schoonmaker adapted to his expanded role in the offense? Because he looked pretty good when I saw him play against Washington.
It's hard to gauge because it's Cooper Rush, and like, you're running your offense completely differently than you normally would with, Dak, even as though I'm not a huge fan, obviously. But remember, listen, this guy was a second round pick coming out of Michigan. He had talent coming out. Like, I think that he was the one that they thought would actually do well, but Ferguson kind of just took the ball and ran with it. So, I joke around sometimes, but I personally, if I was running an offense, like, I would run 12 personnel all the time, and I would run two receivers on the outside, 2 tight ends, and my running back, and I would run a lot from the same formation. If you have 2 capable tight ends, I'm not saying, Gronk and Hernandez here, right? Rest in peace. My point is that, like, that changes matchups tremendously when you have big guys that can go across the middle that create matchup problems for linebackers that are trying to cover them. And eventually that's going to draw that defense in and make the receivers more effective. So I would love it if you were able to get Schoonmaker to be what you thought he was when you drafted him, with Ferguson on the field with him at the same time, and run double tight end. Like, I think that would be a very, very interesting thing to do, especially because, I'm not a huge fan of Dak's deep game. So the more short intermediate across the middle, I think that would be helpful, especially because your offensive line is a little bit in flux. I liked him coming out. Ferguson just kind of took the spot and ran with it, and it worked, and you don't change what's not working. But the kid has talent. Absolutely. And he's big boy too. That's what not Dak needs big people to throw to, bigger targets,
bigger chests to hit.
Yeah.
Definitely want to talk about Micah Parsons, who's been stepping up to the plate a bit after coming back from that injury. He had 2 sacks last week. You know, how important is he not only going to be to the defense, but just like to the team as a whole?
He is the defense.
Yeah.
In so many ways. I mean, again, the closest thing we've seen to Lawrence Taylor probably that we've seen and that we might see. And all the talk is, are they going to be able to pay him? Should they trade him? This, that, and the third. I mean, if you asked me before the season, if you could only pay one between Dak, Lamb, and him, it was absolutely him, because that kind of talent is so hard to find, and you can build with that for a very, very long time. It is crucial that he stays. Not many other people need to stay. He needs to absolutely stay, and that he is young enough to be a building block for the next 10 years. No matter, like, even if you're going to go into a semi retool this offseason because of the cap move that you made, you absolutely must find a way to keep this player. I think they will. I'm not as concerned about that. All the Eagles fans say, oh, he wants to come play in Philadelphia. Well, actually, he grew up a Cowboys fan, so probably not. I mean, he's a good difference maker. And so much too, you know, the problem with the defense this year, to me, going back to when they actually were a functional team with an actual decent NFL quarterback, was that the offense was just so ineffective that you're going 3 and outs and your defense is just struggling for air and a chance to breathe, and they're back out there again. That's where the run defense, I think, really failed, because they were just the scheme, by the way, is terrible. I mean, Zimmer should walk into traffic, but that was, but it is very much like, again, the domino effect of things like that. Right? So he is the straw that stirs the drink defensively. I mean, again, when you get a pass rush like that, your corners look better because now the quarterback has less time to get out there. I mean, wonderful player. I mean, he needs to be there. Everybody else can go. He can stay.
Yeah. Just Micah Parsons.
Yeah, just him and some trash cans. It actually would be that different than it is right now. So,
love him. So, Brian, I asked this in the most sarcastic way possible. The Cowboys forced not 1 but 2 Jaden Daniels interceptions last week. Is this a promising sign for the coming weeks, or do you think Washington's offense just honestly regressed?
Divisional game, you know, all kinds of. Listen, the Browns beat the Ravens too, right? So, like, divisional games, a lot of things happen like that. I don't necessarily chalk it up. If you want to get, if you're a Cowboys fan, you want to get excited about anything in that game. Turpin's run was one of those things you don't see too often anymore, and that was actually exciting to watch. Yeah. I mean, it was annoying because they were winning the game, but it was exciting to watch for a moment until I realized what it was actually happening. Then I was upset about it. Again, so, you know, they haven't been overly healthy on defense for most of the year. And Daniels, for whatever reason, just doesn't like to throw to the left side of the field. I'm not sure if he's going to figure that out. I think he's going to be a very good player. I think that, you know, they're happy with their pick. I mean, I think if you're doing a redraft of the quarterbacks, I liked May the most coming out. I wasn't a Caleb guy. You know, nothing personal. I just think if you're painting your nails, I don't know how into the game you actually are if you're worried about these sorts of things. Like, your focus is not there. So I was a little concerned about that personally. You know, I think May is going to be very, very good. But I think Daniels has a shot to be very good. I mean, I am not a QB run guy. I think you should run less. You should run just enough to make them respected defensively, but then they'll hurt yourself.
Play breaks down.
Yeah, Daniels will be very, very good.
Yeah.
I'm going to chalk, again, he's still a rookie at the end of the day. So good on the defense for getting some turnovers. It's a little too late to matter. But better than not, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the game, as a Cowboys fan, I'm curious on how your Thanksgivings are every year, because us as Giants fans don't experience this every Thanksgiving. Do you have like anything special for your Thanksgiving tradition?
So, to a point, like, you know what I miss? I miss when Black Friday was Black Friday and you'd like get up at like 1 a.m, end up at Best Buy at like 3 and like wear 2 pairs of sweatpants because it's cold and you pick up 8 iPads and you're home by 10 and you pass it. Like, I miss that. Like, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
Had a blast, right? And then it became, oh, well, now we're open on Thanksgiving. So there was like a year or two there where like I'd be keeping the game on my phone while I'm in line at Target to get my dad a TV. It's just the way, the way retail has gotten up, right? So thankfully, a lot of the lean years, I ate enough turkey at like 2:00 to fall asleep during the Cowboys game. So it worked out just fine for me, rather than have to go see Quincy Carter and these other lines of morons that they would put out there. I mean, the Romo years were better. They seem to play generally well on Thanksgiving. But it's a game every year. I mean, they're always on at 3:30, 4:30 in the afternoon. So it's just part of the day. As long as if you're home, you're watching it. Although there was the one year where the Redskins went in there and beat the living hell out of them. And I was at Walmart by halftime because I'm like, I'm not watching this because this is not
21.
It was like it was an RG3 game.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. I mean, he lit them up. Like lit them up, and it was like 42-19 or some obscene number like that, and it was over by halftime. So I'm like, I am not waiting here. I think I got a 65-inch Vizio that year. It was a productive day. It sure is more productive than watching the Cowboys get their asses kicked on national television. But it's funny because I kind of joked about it, but like, is this really the matchup the NFL wanted? Did they really want Tommy DeVito and Cooper Rush?
It's all in the script.
Nick and a grease ball.
Script.
Yeah, I mean, look, people will watch it because they'll watch it, but they're not really watching it. I think they're watching it more like watching a train wreck, like where you can't look away.
Yeah,
one of those things.
Oh yeah.
100%. And speaking of Tommy DeVito, limited in practice today with an injured forearm. Now they're saying he expects to play, but who knows, right? The Giants medical staff is pretty bad at diagnosing injuries when they come in. But again, 48 hours, soreness, lingers a little bit. He took a lot of hits on Sunday, and with Andrew Thomas being out, the offensive line is in shambles. Also, speaking of the offensive line, Jermaine Illuminor's status is in doubt. He did not practice today, so the Giants will be without their two starting tackles. Evan Neal, hopeful to play. Evan Neal back starting.
Yeah, how's he doing?
I mean, could it not worse?
He's doing. Okay. He's looked better. So his stance has changed. I kind of went into this
stand correctly.
Crazy analysis a couple weeks ago with Sam, and she was like, "Wow, like the difference between Carm Brasillo and Bobby Johnson was monumental for this guy's development."
They basically were like, "Put your hand down; it'll help you be more stable." And he was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Well, the big I think I remember about him, and I was a huge fan of the Giants draft that year because both him and Thibodeau could have been that they were thought of at one time to go number one. So to end up with both of them, I thought was a coup. But I think it was Kevin O'Connell, when I talk about in Minnesota, was on Rich Eisen. I actually wrote about this too, where he said like teams fail young quarterbacks before young quarterbacks fail teams. And I think that happens a lot too with young players like a Neal that may need to be coached up, but just will never in a position where he gets the, tender caress that he needs or whatever, or the coaching thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm like the development there. So I hope he does well for his sake because the talent was obviously there when he was taken that high in the draft.
Absolutely. He's definitely doing better, but we'll see. It'll likely be him and Chris Hubbard as our bookend tackles on Thursday. Azeez Ojulari heads to injured reserve, Sam. His time as a Giant might be done. 6 sacks in 10 games. A guy that I loved, but now we know why he fell to the second round. Always getting hurt. Getting hurt, and it's a shame.
It is what it is. Will his absence really make a difference? I'm not so sure.
Probably not. I don't think Bigfoot thinks that way either. Bigfoot says Giants are going down in flames.
Have you seen the Cowboys lately?
This whole thing might just go down in flames, honestly.
Yeah, like I'm not looking forward to watching the slob. I'm telling you right now.
No. Especially in the middle of the Thanksgiving day.
I'm like, can I go to work or something? I don't want to.
It's like all the Italian households, right, in the Northeast. You're going to see this guy walking out, this gold chain, trying to throw darts and win games, and then you get the fake Joe Pesci lookalike in the background be like, when DeVito throws an interception, hey, it was an accident, man. That's going to be the highlight of the game. Yeah. People making fun of the game. That's the point I'm trying to make.
The memes will be gold by about 6.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
100%.
Absolutely.
not to go off topic here, but before we quickly get into our keys and who we're watching, Greg Dulcich claimed off waivers Sam Hill replace Azeez Ojulari, a 2022 third-round pick out of UCLA from the Denver Broncos. Started just 10 games in the last 3 seasons. And Sam, great hair, but his rookie year was really, really good. Last 2 years, not so much. We'll see what he can do. Giants are desperate.
Giants just gravitate towards like mediocre tight ends, so maybe he proves us wrong. But
yes, there's a big but. Tail of the tape, Brian. Last time in week 5, you beat us 20-15. We're talking about how the Giants had to run the football. They ran for just 26 yards. You were saying, start Devin Singletary, start Devin Singletary. Sam and I both started Devin Singletary. We both lost with Devin Singletary.
I lost my parlay that day.
I owe you both a Starbies on me next time.
Not Duncan?
I like you. I'm not getting you Duncan.
All right.
Friends,
the crazy thing is,
my drink that crap. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Fiance worked at Starbucks back in the day. At Tom Coughlin's Starbucks, too.
Awesome.
That was the crazy thing. Yeah, Sam, I don't know if you knew that.
Wait, yes, you did tell me
Deanna
that.
worked at Tom Coughlin's Starbucks.
Congrats, by the way. It's a little bit late, but congratulations.
Thank you. Engagement dinner is, I guess, sort of like engagement dinner, not really a party, on Friday, and it turned into like 27 people now. It was supposed to be like 10, 12 people. Now it's
right.
27 people.
Uh-huh.
That's how it happens, Tom.
Yeah. I know she just heard that probably in the background. But anyway, the game. 6-game losing streak against the Cowboys. Sam, what's key? How do we stop that 6-game losing streak to the Dallas Cowboys?
We don't. We lose. I'm
Yeah.
kidding. But no, but to be real, like, honestly, I think you just gotta step up to the plate and just like, we have Cooper Rush, who is obviously now, at first everyone was like, with his like winning record, everyone was freaking out, but like we see that he's a person and that is very beatable. And just like, our defense is always seems to be like a shining light in most of our games. So I'm going to say that the defense just needs to stop the offense from scoring. Freaking get on CeeDee Lamb because he's going to run all over us. So focus in on him. And the offense, just do your best. You'll get a goodie bag at the end of the game.
If you win, you get ice cream. If you lose, you get ice cream too. It's all right.
If you lose, you get ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah.
Even better. Is the key for you guys losing and make people eat their dessert early on Thanksgiving?
I'm telling you, you have no idea how livid I was on Sunday. There is, again, the best case scenario for both of these teams is that they both can forfeit and we don't have to watch it. Like winning is
tie.
Losing is winning. It for both of these teams. And Jerry Jones is like, oh, I'm not a tank guy. We should go win games. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
I've been banging the table for this. Look, I just objectively, right? The Cowboys offensive line is A, not good, and B, banged up. So this should be a game where the Giants pass rush should be able to get to Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush takes a little bit longer to process things even than Dak Prescott did. So it's not as if they'll be able to get to the quarterback. And I remember all of this talk, Cooper Rush went there and won like 4 games or something. I'm like, people are just so dumb. It's the flavor of the week. It always sounds great. I mean, no. I mean, the guy's not good. Honestly, everybody keeps asking me, why aren't they playing Trey Lance? Why aren't they playing Trey Lance? Why aren't they playing Trey Lance? And it's true because, like, again, could he suck? Absolutely. Did you put a pick to find out? Yes. So can you go ahead and find out? Like, get the kid some snaps, see what he can do. If he sucks, he sucks. That's great. Move on. But get him some playing time. You have nothing to lose at this point. Play.
Right. 100%. Yeah, you got to get to Coop. Giants defense, only team in the NFL with a 10% sack rate heading into last week. Once led the NFL in sacks. So to that point, Brian, 2 rookies on the O-line, Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe, who's been pretty decent at
He's been good.
center.
Yeah.
But what's going on? The two guards next to him are both banged up. You got Tyler Smith on the left, who's been limited, and Zach Martin, the best offensive lineman really since sliced bread is.
He's had a very rough year.
Best player on your offense, no?
But
Or would you say Lamb?
For the longest time, but he has not been good this year. And is that father time? You hope not, because if it is, that's another spot they got to fix longer term in the draft. And Tom, I think I mentioned this to you too. It is going to be the most Cowboys thing ever when they end up with like the 9th pick and take the Boise State running back. Like that's the most Cowboys thing ever. Yeah, Ashton Genty. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the offensive line is a problem. They've put picks into it, hasn't overly worked out. I like what I've seen from Cooper Beebe. I think that was a very, for a 3rd rounder, like you got to like what you've seen there. It's just hard to really evaluate much of anything right now because you're playing with the 2nd string quarterback. So like when you see anything, it's even if it's protection schemes, like, yeah, but you're not protecting for Dak. So Dak can maybe move around a little more than Rush will. Was it actually the offensive lineman's fault in certain cases? Like it's just kind of hard to really grade anybody out, truthfully.
So, Sam, 5 minutes to go here. Who are you watching from each team? Are you watching anybody from the Giants? I don't know if I'm going to be watching this game.
I'm gonna be watching Malik Nabers because of his comments. Because of that, they're gonna want to quiet everybody up. They're gonna give Malik the ball.
Absolutely.
Like that's just gonna happen. Like throughout the entire game, he's gonna get the ball. So definitely gonna be watching him. I'll only give him for the Giants. And on the Dallas side, I'm definitely going to be looking at CeeDee Lamb. He's going to be all over us, all over us. It's going to be crazy. And I'll say Micah Parsons as well, because as Brian said, he is the defense. He is the only good Cowboy on the team. So I'm definitely going to be looking out for him because he's going to be the main issue on the defensive side as well.
Well said. Brian, who are you watching?
Inside of my eyelids.
Yes.
How much fan nap?
How much turkey I eat and how much I fall asleep. Look, again, I'd like to see Schoonmaker use this opportunity to earn some more eyes when it matters, right? Like again, if you're looking at this as hey, listen, we're not going to win games, or we're not really trying to win games. We're going to see what we have. Hopefully that becomes a usable piece next year. Like I said, I think this is one of those games where you're going to see like a Dexter Lawrence or one of these pass rushers like really get like a couple of sacks on rush, because I just think that the line is just in a situation where that's what the Giants can expose and at least kind of get some excitement in the game. You know, sacks always get people up out of their seats. But it's so difficult to look at the offense and feel good about anything when it's patchwork. Like it's not really your offense.
Right. So for the Giants, I'm watching John Runyon and Micah McFadden. Not really, but no, in all seriousness, watching Tommy. I'm watching Banks too. I want to see his effort against CeeDee Lamb. That's a tough matchup. He has to play well. He's been one of the players who have been questioned effort-wise over the course of really the whole season. And Malik has not scored a touchdown since week 3. It's been that long for Dallas. I like Parsons. Giants O-line is banged up. The Marvion Overshone, really underrated linebacker, 5 sacks on the season, 8 TFLs, 75 stops. And then, Cooper Beebe. He's getting a face full of Dexter Lawrence on Thursday. So those are the 3 for Dallas. With that being said, let's get to our score predictions because, Sam, I know you got a 9:15 out.
Yep.
Brian, we'll start with you. Who's taking this home?
Oh, Giants are going to blow them out, right? It's going to be over by halftime. I can go shopping.
I think it's the first time that's been said on this show in the last 2 years.
I mean, Malik Nabers is going to get like the first 10 balls. Like the first 15 plays are scripted. 9 of them will be passes to Malik Nabers, no matter where he is on the field. He should get 2 touchdowns in this game. I really think that this is a game that the Giants can and should win this game. Frankly, I mean, I don't. The Cowboys are coming off an extremely unlikely win last week, and that might just be the highlight of their season to people that actually care. But this is something where, again, if the Giants get up 14-0 on this team, the Cowboys are going to fold like the cheapest suits you ever saw, and that will be fine. And again, Daboll needs like one of these games where you kind of get the vibes back correct again. I think that means more to the Giants than the Cowboys from that standpoint. So I do think that the Giants have better vibes coming out of it. Give me like a 27-10 Giants win.
Ooh, okay, the jaw-dropping prediction, but I love it.
100 yards and a touchdown.
I love it. Sam?
I think
Wow.
I just saw this. I was just looking for the spread. Yeah. No, wait. Oh, it's 3.5. It's that's gonna be very, very easy. So I think the complete opposite of Brian. I completely think that the Cowboys are riding the high, and they're gonna come in feeling super strong against a very vulnerable Giants team, and the Giants are just gonna be like, oh, well, we're just gonna let it happen, and it's gonna be, oh gosh, 28-7, Cowboys.
I could totally see it. Also, shout out Noah Dog Dibler. To call this game a toilet bowl is insulting to toilets.
Indeed.
Noah, I think we'll be seeing you in a few weeks. We might have to invite you on the show to throw some more Giants digs out there. Appreciate you, buddy. Go Dogs.
Toilets with curtains, though, so you can block the sun.
Yes.
The sun.
Brian, you had a little influence on me there. I do think last week the Bucs needed the game more than the Giants did, and it showed. This week the Giants need the game more to save Daboll's job, realistically speaking. But I don't think it will show. I think the Giants lose. I am going to change my score prediction, though. I think Dallas is going to win 25-17. I think Aubrey's going to kick a couple field goals, trying to be very realistic here. However, Dallas just beat a playoff team. They're in Washington, right? They were in Washington, and now it's a short week. This, ladies and gentlemen, might be a trap game. This might be a trap game for Dallas. People are saying, oh, let's get some wins. Let's get back into playoff contention.
Ooh.
I don't know, but
Playoffs. Let's talk about playoffs.
9:15, and I know Sam has to go. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and to you both, lovely people.
You as well.
Thanks, Mom.
Folks, catch Big Blue Avenue on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We'll be posting some clips from this show up there. Tune in next week. I think we're playing the Saints next week, so we'll see what happens. And hopefully we're talking about a nice win on Thanksgiving, and I'm sure Brian agrees. Hopefully the Giants do win on Thursday.
Go Big Blue.
Without further ado, folks, let's go Big Blue.